It's another horrific day in the gaming world, and I'm back to deliver more bad news from everyone's favorite fun-hating, creativity-crushing company, Nintendo. At this point, it's almost tradition. Nintendo continues to be allergic to community engagement and allergic to the idea of letting their users expand beyond the slop they're force-fed through the eShop. And honestly, no one's surprised anymore, but this time, they've outdone themselves. Nintendo has a long, proud history of overreach, slapping down third-party software, fan games, mods, and independent marketplaces like they're playing whack-a-mole. But their newest move, updating their user agreement to reserve the right to brick your console if they think you've breached the rules. That's not just absurd, it might be straight up illegal. So it's official, Nintendo has actually updated their end user license agreement to include a clause where they reserve the right to remotely brick your Nintendo console if they suspect you've violated the terms. In particular, they're targeting modding, piracy, or anything that resembles thinking for yourself. This isn't new behavior. Nintendo has previously shut down fan marketplaces, yanked accessories off the shelves, and played copyright whack-a-fan with anyone touching their IP, but now they've codified it. The new policy states they can render the Nintendo account services and or the applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable in whole or in part. In plain English, they'll turn your console into a decorative brick if you step out of line. These guys are like corporate vampires, except instead of sucking blood, they drain your wallet and then tell you never really owned anything. Imagine Apple bricking your iPhone because you jailbroke it. There would be riots, but Nintendo, they get to do it in peace while still charging $60 for 8-year-old ports. And this agreement essentially turns your console into a hostage situation. If you do anything that isn't explicitly approved by the Big N, they can shut you down, just in time for the Switch 2. And as a quick reminder, you do not hate big corporations enough, because if you did, you'd remember that just a few weeks ago, Nintendo also announced that they plan to hike up the prices for all their first-party games along with the release of the new console. About a month ago, we got our first look at the highly anticipated Switch 2, and alongside that shiny new render came in a not-so-shiny price tag, $499.99. If that number doesn't make you gag a little, well, let me help. That's the price of a PlayStation 5, a console that can actually run games made from this decade. And here's the shady part. Nintendo didn't even showcase the price in their trailers. You had to go to the website and find it. Classic move to avoid the very justified backlash that followed. They're blaming inflation, hardware improvements, and tariff uncertainty to the price spike. Meanwhile, new first-party games like Mario Kart World are being slapped with an $80 price tag. $80 for a digital kart racer, a game where you don't even get to hold the cartridge and pretend you own something. It's insane. Nintendo is pushing the industry towards normalized price hikes, and the scary part is that it might work. Let's tally it up real quick. You're spending about $500 on a console with outdated hardware, and $80 on games you can't physically touch, all while surrendering the right to modify or even own the device you paid for. Imagine if Valve decided to brick your Steam Deck for running an emulator. The internet would implode. This user agreement turns Nintendo into the landlord of your console. You're renting fun until they decide to cut the power. And look, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're at the point where a gaming console is considered a long-term investment. It's the worst ROI imaginable. At this rate, we'll need to finance video games like we've begun doing with Uber Eats, buy now and buy later. But there's also this growing fear in the community that games could start regularly hitting the $100 mark. And with that fear will inevitably come a wave of cash-grabbing slop disguised as premium titles. Remember the rumors that GTA 6 might cost $100 before Rockstar delayed it a year out? Well, Nintendo decided to jump the gun early with $80 games, because why wait when you could just bleed your fan base right now? And this for me raises real questions about value. I personally haven't spent $60 on a new game in years, not because I'm cheap, but because I've completely lost faith in new titles delivering anything beyond buyer's remorse. I use Game Pass to avoid paying the upfront cost of new titles and avoid games that I know won't satisfy me. That's why I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but I am telling you to be cautious. Opting into Nintendo's ecosystem means agreeing to terms where you don't really own anything, but they own everything, including your right to play. Maybe now's the time we all collectively pause and start asking, what exactly are we paying for? And how much control are we willing to give up just to play another Mario Kart game? Well, that's all I have for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and comment your thoughts down below. I appreciate you guys for making it to the end, and as always, have a good one.